Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining. We will resume. Okay, let me. Okay. All right. So let's begin with the pranam mantra. Hide floating control. Okay. So let's begin with chanting the pranam mantras or Mangalacharan prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स पदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तविंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Hare Krishna. So we will continue our discussion on the topic of prana and chitta. This is a subtopic of the our current discussion on the summary of Canto 2 and 3. So while we were discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, we saw so many times the topic of creation is repeated via Srila Vyasdev, as well as Sukadev Goswami, and the discussion between Sukadev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. So we wanted to go into details of that why this topic of creation is so important in our practices of bhakti. So later on, this comes later on in the discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam. And we want to cover it now so that we have a proper understanding of the Siddhanta. Now, Srila Prabhupada, yes, we see Prabhupada actually brings up this point in a discussion with his disciple that, our movement is a preaching movement. Krishna consciousness is the movement of preaching. And however, Prabhupada also stressed of quality over quantity. So, in one point of time, Srila Prabhupada wrote to his disciple in a letter he wrote in 1972. He instructed his disciple to stop expanding, actually. He said, stop expanding and instead start boiling the milk. So, here you see a pot of milk getting boiled. The meaning is that, that when we add or if the water is added to the milk, the quality of the milk goes down. Meaning, if there are too many people who are not of good qualities in the congregation, it spoils the mood of there is a possibility that the mood of the congregation is spoiled. So therefore, we have to boil the milk. Now, how you boil the milk? So boiling the milk becomes actually thicker. In this case, it indicates that one has to go into deeper understanding of Shastra. Therefore, we try to conduct these sessions where we go not at the level of 1.0, but progress ourselves to the uh, deeper level of understanding of Shastra. So, in that regard, there is a story of a king. He built a lake in the middle of his city, and he wanted all the people to have this lake to be a really pure lake consisting of only milk. So he requested all the milkmen in his kingdom that tomorrow, all of you get 10 gallons of milk. So this, you see, this is the lake, the picture of the lake, and it was empty. So he said to all the people who owned cows that, why don't you get, each of you get 10 gallons of milk, and then pour this milk into this lake. And then when all of you put some portion of your daily production of milk into this particular lake, then we'll have a lake of milk. So what happened is, over the previous night, one of the guy who started thinking that, I'm going to give 10 gallons of milk and pour it in the lake. Why don't I get up early in the morning and just pour 10 gallons of water? Right? So what he does is, next day morning, early in the morning, so that nobody can see him, he comes next to the lake, and then he just pours 10 gallon of water. But sees other people also coming, and other his fellow men are also coming with gallons of milk. He thought it to be gallons of milk, but he took water actually. He didn't take the milk. So he thought that, my water will mix with this milk other brought up by other people, and when it gets mixed, it will not be seen. So I'll trick the system. So that's how he did, and he put his 10 gallon in the lake. And as the sun started coming up, and then the king came and he saw that it's not milk, but it is just pure water. So the way this guy was thinking, everybody else was thinking in the same way. So this is how the dilution happens. Dilution happens in our consciousness if unless we boil the milk. A strong foundation of truth or tattva is required to support the deep emotions we are going to practice of the Shastras. Right? So here, uh, so Srila Prabhupada actually talks about this, that one has to improve upon the quality in his practice of bhakti. So in this regard, when we study Srimad Bhagavatam, we have to study Srimad Bhagavatam at a higher level than what it is presented. Right? Now, Prabhupada has, when he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, Hare Krishna, so he tried to incorporate all the philosophies from written by various acharyas. However, because of the shortage of time, he could not get into the details. So he always, in the first canto, first chapter, towards the end of Hare Krishna, Prabhupada also emphasizes that a serious student must study Shastra from the commentaries of other acharyas like Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Jiva Goswami, Srila Sanatan Goswami. यहाँ पे आ जाइए. So therefore, because more details, those acharyas have given so much details, and some of the things which is important we are trying to cover in this, so that our understanding of bhakti is enhanced. So in
सॉरी हमने क्रूशियल पॉइंट पे आपकी स्टोरी मिस करी. सबने पानी डाला था.
सबने पानी डाला.
वही मुझे लग रहा था. दैट्स द स्टोरी कि सब आए हैं,
सबने पानी डाला because everybody was thinking alike.
तो सब पूरा डाइल्यूटेड.
It was only water. There was no milk.
There was no milk. Okay.
Yeah, so this over a period of time, the dilution happens if the proper siddhanta is not established. So we started discussing this topic of prana and chitta. I will quickly summarize as possible, but I added few more slides to it because there were some questions. After the class was over, there were some questions. I wanted to get into a little more details. So as we understood from the second canto as well as in the third canto, and again in 11th canto, this creation is presented. So essence of the creation is Mahavishnu actually glances, and with his glance, the creation begins. So before the creation, nothing exists. Everything exists in a very subtle form. So the three modes of nature is inactive, right? But by the glance of Mahavishnu, he impregnates the time, the Kala factor, as well as the Jiva along with their Swabhav and Karma. This is injected into the material nature, which is in an inactive state. Now that inactive state is called as pradhan. The pradhan, which is consisting of the very subtle form of the three modes of nature. But as soon as the Lord glances, the first thing that manifests is Mahatattva. So Mahatattva is pure consciousness. Right? Mahatattva is pure consciousness. So this Mahatattva, which is predominantly in the mode of goodness, first exists, and it is like a screen of consciousness, which is so this is Mahatattva. This is a total material energy in its pure, undifferentiated sattvic state. Right? So this is the macrocosm, like global. You understand that the Mahatattva is global, and that Mahatattva is also present within us, and that is macrocosm within each individual, and this is called as Chitta. The reference for this is Srila Jiva Goswami's commentary, right? That Mahatattva, or this is actually Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Mahatattva, which is represented by Chitta in the body. It is represented as Chitta in the body. Chitta means consciousness, right? So in beginning, this consciousness is pure, right? So which is predominated by Sattva. It is in a Sattva gun, right? So when it is pure, when it is in a Satya gun, it manifests certain qualities. So what are the qualities? These are the qualities. The qualities of Chitta. This is in third canto, chapter 26, verse 22. So these are the three qualities mentioned as the qualities of Chitta. It is Suchatvam, which is clarity, Swadu, which is sweetness, and Shantatvam, which is serenity. Right? However, we are interested in this clarity part, Suchatvam. Right? Srila Sridhar Swami, who is the original commentator on Srimad Bhagavatam, he says that Sochhatvam, clarity, means it has an ability to reflect something perfectly. Like if you say something clean mirror is there, right? If there's a clean mirror, you go and stand in front of the clean mirror, you can see yourself very clearly. So this is the quality of a clean mirror, and he's saying that the ability to reflect perfectly. Specifically, he uses the term Bhagavad Bimba Grahitvam. The pure consciousness has ability or capacity to catch the reflection of Bimba. Bimba means reflection of whom? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is where Supreme Personality of Godhead is manifested in our heart. Where he is manifested in Chitta. Right? It is pure, it is sweet, it is clear, it is serene. Right? So these are the qualities of Chitta in a pure state. So are we clear so far? So
प्रभु अभी तो हम महातत्व में, आप महातत्व की क्वालिटीज बता रहे हैं. अब तो कोई सोल नहीं है, कोई जीवा नहीं है, भगवान मतलब भगवान है बट नहीं है, राइट? क्योंकि
correct,
अभी
yeah.
उसमें कुछ भी नहीं
But
है.
whenever the creation happens,
Yeah.
portion of that Mahatattva is represented within us as Chitta. Right? So Chitta and Mahatattva is same, because Mahatattva is represented in each and every individual as Chitta. Right? And when Mahatattva is pure, Chitta is also pure in the beginning. But over the period of time, the Chitta gets contaminated. But let's start at the purest state. So that's at the purest state, there is a possibility of that the reflection of the image of Supreme Personality of Godhead can be seen in pure Chitta. That is the point. Clear? Okay. So now the next point was about, we discussed this about prana. Right? So prana, because first thing that is created is Mahatattva. Now Mahatattva is, it is in a pure state, in a sattva state. Correct? in a sattvic state. Correct. So one of the quality of sattva is inaction. So it is passive. It doesn't produce any action. To produce any action, passion is required. Right? So the second transformation that happens in Mahatattva, right, is from Mahatattva by the glance of the Lord. This is all happening by the glance of the Lord. Right? Without the supervision of the Lord, glance of the Lord means supervision of the Lord. Without the supervision of the Lord, nothing moves. So first thing, transformation from Pradhan to Mahatattva. First is Pradhan, which is in inactive state. By the glance of the Lord, Mahatattva is generated. From Mahatattva, then the next transformation that happens is Sutra Tattva. Correct? And we made a comparison like there is water all over. Right? Now that water, because of heat, there is water all over. We cannot see the water. Can we see the water? No. But do we know there is humidity? The humidity is a form of water.
Hmm.
In a very subtle state. Now, when this humidity is there and when there is a sunlight which is falling, especially on the humidity which is experienced on the ocean, there is more humid. So then that vapor actually rises up and then it forms a cloud. Right? So that is a transformation of the same humidity into cloud. So similarly, Mahatattva transforms into the next stage, which is called as Sutra Tattva. Right? And then from Sutra Tattva, the next transformation that happens is Ahankar. So like that, one phase of water move, like the way one phase of water moves to the next phase, to the next phase. Similarly, from Pradhan to Mahatattva to Sutra Tattva, then to Ahankar. And then again, Ahankar in the mode of goodness, Ahankar in the mode of passion, Ahankar in the mode of ignorance. So this is how the transformation keeps happening and things are getting produced.
So Mahatattva to consciousness is Sutra Tattva is
Is
mode
a-
of passion, but what exactly
It is prana,
Wow.
universal prana. Nothing moves in this universe without prana. So you need universal prana. Even to move the earth, the sun, the planets, all is governed by prana. That is governed by universal prana. That prana also comes in our body. So that is actually called a Sutra Tattva. But that when the Sutra Tattva enters our body to produce movements in our body, that is called as prana.
But the consciousness does not change from goodness.
Yes, it changes. Once the prana enters, the thing starts moving. Like it's an inactive state, but when the prana enters, which is passion, it pushes or it moves things around.
The consciousness starts to change from pure goodness to passion.
Passion, yes. Like let's say before this house, the house is empty, but then when somebody enters, then some action begins, right? So similarly, the prana enters the body, and the body will start manifesting things. Right? So prana has to be there. For any kind of action has to happen, the prana has to be there. Without the prana, the actions won't take place. Right? And then when somebody dies, we say the prana has left. Right? Because there is then the soul goes along with the prana to the next body. So prana pushes the soul out. Similarly, with the prana, the soul gets in. So this is simultaneously happening.
But the consciousness also goes with the soul.
Yes, consciousness also goes with the soul to the next body.
So basically, whatever consciousness is coming here was already
In the Mahatattva. It's a part of consciousness, is a part of the soul.
But in the previous lifetime, that was in some other body.
Yeah. So it has been clear little more. So there is the soul is conscious, but a material consciousness is so originally soul is pure and it is conscious. And it is reflecting consciousness. Like for example, this light is, like assume that this light is soul. And then we cover this light with a film. So now the original consciousness of this light is reflected through this red paper, and this room will become red. Right? So same way, the consciousness, which is chitta, is the actually the term we are using as consciousness, Hare Krishna, but it is a chitta actually. So that chitta is the red color film which we are talking about, is there, through which the entire manifestation happens. Okay. So we are discussing about
Yes.
it's a summary, yes.
I know, I just had my service and came.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So this prana is an interface. This is the interface of the consciousness. So senses gather data, and the chitta is the subconscious, which is holding the things. Basically, chitta is the so as we saw last time also, that any kind of uh, input which we are getting to external stimulus, those inputs are stored in the chitta. So it's kind of, you can think it as a hardware, जहाँ पे वहाँ पे, the storage, hard drive, where things are stored. So that is the storage place. Then that is where the information is stored. Whatever information we see, we hear, we smell, anything, any input can be stored there, and it is stored from lifetimes together. So while storing those things, it has to again interact with the body, isn't it? So therefore, that interaction happens between the prana is the medium through which that interaction actually happens. Okay. So so these are the 5 pranas, like udana. Now the prana is once the prana enters, it divides into 5 vayus, the 5 different kind of pranas or vayus. So this is udana, which can be compared to like us, which is there in this area. It resides in this the area. Like if you see again, udana is here. Then prana is for the purpose of breathing. Vyana is for circulation. Samana is for digestion, and apana is for expulsion. So this upward movement of air is called as udana, and it is the strategist. It's like the CEO. And the pranavaya can be compared to HR or procurement intake. Samana is used for digestion. It is there in this area region. And then apana is waste management, and vayana is for distribution and logistics. So for that is how the 5 functions work together, right? So these 5 pranas are actually fueling the functional system of the body, starting with the breath. So the prana is such that the breath which we are taking is the vehicle. The breath is the vehicle, and the fuel of the vehicle, the gas, right? That is the prana. So oxygen is not really the prana. Prana utilizes oxygen to fuel the system. Okay? So basically, prana is the life force. It governs all the activities of the body. Okay, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So death is nothing but prana leaving the body. This is the symptom of death. So the prana, when it is leaving the body, means death. With that, it pushes the soul either through the mouth or through the bottom, through any of the holes. Or for yogi, he can actually control his breath in such a way that he can push through his prana, he can live through this area. Brahmarandra, yes.
So what really is it? I would say if prana leaves, soul follows. If soul leaves, then prana follows. If Paramatma leaves, then what is
Paramatma is the guiding. Everything is controlled under Paramatma.
So
and then Paramatma lives along with the prana and
so Paramatma determines whether he can any longer reside in that body, and then soul and prana.
Then they act under the Upadrashta Anumantas.
Yeah.
So under his direction, all these things are happening.
प्रभु इससे 2 स्लाइड पहले में आपने लिखा था चित्ता सबकॉन्शियस माइंड, सो चित्ता इज एक्चुअली कॉन्शियसनेस, इज
No.
कॉन्शियस, तो थोड़ा सा
कॉन्शियसनेस इज द अभी आएगा एक स्लाइड आएगा उसमें और भी ज्यादा क्लियर होगा. बट द कॉन्शियसनेस इज अ पार्ट ऑफ सोल. Is a symptom of soul. Wherever Prabhupada writes it, wherever there is consciousness, that's a symptom of soul. वहाँ पे soul है. So that consciousness is generated from soul, not from chitta. Chitta becomes conscious because it's a storage, right? It's a storage which is required. Like last time we saw, all the impressions are stored in chitta. To activate the chitta, this consciousness of the soul is required. There is an example which will be shown here, that there is a lamp, and वो मैं दिखाता हूँ, आगे आता है. But just hold on to that question. So the prana can also be taken, and this is an example that to give you an example, there are people who can control the prana. So this person, his name is Prahlad Jani, and I have put a YouTube link here, and you can watch this YouTube link. They have done several tests on him. He is 83 years old and he has not drink, or he doesn't pass stool or urine or anything like that. And he is 83 years old. He doesn't drink, he doesn't eat, nothing.
He just left here. So.
He left? No, I don't think so, because I just saw a video that indicated that he is still alive. Anyway, it could be possible. So,
But he didn't eat for only 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Many years, that in decades.
decades is, yeah.
Anything intake or any
Intake.
output.
From his childhood, he didn't eat or drink or anything like that. So, the body is designed to absorb prana from the entire universe, not just food. Right? So, therefore, any food which is refrigerated or kept for more than 3 hours is a dead food. There is no prana in that. Therefore, Krishna says in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that food has to be eaten and cooked, and it has to be cooked in a certain way with open vessels. There should not be covering, because that reduces the prana. And when you eat that kind of food, it's not going to give you any pranic benefit. We're not going to increase your prana. So, for the purpose of eating, we may eat, we may get all the chemicals or anything, but it is not going to help us to purify our prana. So these are, earth element is a solid food, then liquid element or liquid and hydration is a water element. These are predominantly like that. Air. So this is compared. However, one can live just on the energy of sun and space. You can just live on that. You can derive your energy through that. And this person used to do that. So a highly tuned system can absorb prana directly from sun and space, reducing the physiological burden of processing solid food. This is also possible, right? So this is, as prana is called as the life force. It gives the force to the life. Now there are 5 kinds of body, and you have already heard about this. Annamaya kosha, which is the physical body. And then there is a pranamaya kosha, which is energy body. Manomaya kosha, mental body. Right? Vijnanamaya kosha is intellectual body, and Anandamaya kosha, which is the bliss body. This Annamaya kosha, which is the physical body, is over the top of this. These other bodies are there. These are layers of body within that.
The outer covering.
These are, yeah.
Inner
covering. This is the inner thing.
Physical body is the outer covering.
Physical body is the outer covering.
Rest is going inside. So the prana flows through the nadis. There are 72,000 nadis, of which there are 3 nadis of very significance. One is called as Ida, other is not written over here, but you can find it. There is Ida, there is Pingala, and there is Susumna. Susumna nadi is from the center. Ida is Ida is left side, and Pingala is the right side. So sun. Some dominated is Pingala, and moon dominated is Ida. So this governs the entire prana system. But along with that, there is chakras starting from Muladhara chakra to Anahata chakra, like that. So when the point over here is, when we are sick or when we are experiencing sorrow, our prana actually contracts, which is the next slide. So dukkha, ka means space. So dukh means bad or sorrow, and su means good. Kha. So that's how the terms are described. Dukkha.
Mind.
Kha means
Hmm.
kha means
Niragunalo,
come.
come.
Yeah. So dukkha, sukha. When we are in distress, our prana contracts. Whenever we are in happiness, our prana expands. Now, why is this? I will connect it later. Right now, this keep this in mind that it expands and it contracts, and this will be used in our process of bhakti later. But here, the chitta contracts, feeling trapped and pressurized. Stress is the mechanical contractions of the mind and internal akash. So when we are in stress, our akash in the body is contracted. Therefore, we feel like, like this uh, contraction over. Physically also we get contracted.
Mhm.
Right?
It's like we are going to hide, right?
Hide.
Mhm.
But when we are experiencing happiness, it expands, creating room for movement, clarity, and processing.
But
So-
this is still a state of mind only. Mind
No, it is
causes-
a state of entire body actually.
Mhm.
This
But
is working.
is it caused by the mind?
It is caused by mind, it could be external forces, it could be caused by anything. You can experience sukha or dukkha either internally, like depressed people, when they see the weather is bad, they get even more depressed. So that weather is actually affecting this particular person.
But is it really the weather, or is it the mind who's perceiving the weather and causing that?
Yes, it is a mind which is, but ultimately the weather is an external trigger. Similarly,
Trigger.
external
the
trigger.
cause.
Yeah, it's an external trigger, stimulus. So that is also a part of the cause which is causing the mind to contract.
It actually affects all five pranas, I think.
It affects everything.
All five
Yeah,
pranas.
all the five pranas.
Both states.
Yes. Okay. So next is, therefore, Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita, he defines yoga in two different places in the beginning in chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita. He's saying that samatvam yoga uchate. Yoga is equilibrium of mind. Uh, Then he again says yoga karmasu kaushalam later on. Right?
Mhm.
So he is gradually taking you higher and higher. So in the beginning, he defined yoga as samatvam. Right? So samatvam, when this mind is unstable, that is, it is not in a samatvam state, it's not in an equilibrium state. So Krishna first defines that yoga means stabilization of the mind. So a lot of times, again, mind, we are not going into details, therefore, we are going into each section. But each of them, like as we saw last time, Antakaran has four things. One is mind, manas, other is buddhi, third is chitta, fourth is ahankara. So this is Antakaran. But these words are interchangeably used. Manas is sometimes used for chitta. Chitta is used for manas. So one has to know the differences to identify what it is. And therefore we are going into details so that at least when you read that, then you will have some idea what part is being said, right? So most of the time manas word is used, but actually it is telling about the chitta, it's not talking about manas. So here in this particular place, Gita, it is saying equilibrium of mind is samatvam. And Patanjali also says that chitta vritti nirodha, that is yoga. When the chitta vritti is nirodha means controlled, that is actually yoga. So the prana, and this you can try actually, when you focus on something very intensely, you'll stop breathing. Right? You take a pen and then you intensely focus on that. At that time, you'll notice that your breathing stops. Because when the breathing stops, the mind actually calms down. Right? When you are chanting, and you can practice, this is also given by Sanatana Goswami. he gives a yogic technique. Haripashad Prabhu explains in his what is that nectar of instruction class. I forgot the class number, but he explains the yoga process. He explains the verse where Sanatana Goswami is saying that if their mind is disturbed, then do this particular pranayam. When you do this particular pranayam, then your mind, you do it 3 times. He also gives how many times you have to do. Then your mind will get stabilized because you are controlling your breath. That breath will gradually control your mind, and now you can focus on chanting. So like that, and I can send you that later on. He explains words and gives you the exact words where how to do that particular yoga. So because breath, that is the prana or breath, and the mind, which is chitta, are interwoven threads. Controlling one controls the other. So then, this experiment can be done to see how the mind becomes still. Now,
So what is the correlation between breath and thing? Is that like if you breathe fast, then mind is
undisturbed, yeah, it becomes activated. Becomes activated. In fact, mind is an activated, when somebody becomes angry, you'll see that person is breathing very fast, isn't it? So these two are related. So you control one, you can control the others. Now, the yogic person, the person who has practiced yoga and who has siddhis, they can, over the period of practice, so the practice is like yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, then pratyahara, then dharana, then dhyana and samadhi. So as he progresses, his focus becomes laser focused. I mean, he can pinpoint on something and then meditate upon particular things. Like us, who are chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, gradually with our practices, we can actually focus on each mantra. You have to practice that way, because right now when we are chanting, our mind is all over the place. But if we keep practicing, bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. If we practice that, we can practice in such a way that, we can actually see the mantras while chanting. So yoga, the yogis who have siddhis, what they can do is how do they do this levitation, or how they become invisible. So their focus becomes so intense that they can focus on the elements within their body. And when they focus on one of the elements within the body, like if they focus on air within the body, they can start levitating themselves without even doing anything. So this levitation, that's why I put this picture of some yoga person levitating. That is achievable by, how they achieve is by focusing on this one element of the body. Like here, if you focus on fire, you can become invisible. Right? However, it is said, now this is Patanjali is explaining that this is external disturbance. This is not the end goal. If you are levitating, you start earning money from that, and show the public that I have these powers. This kind of thing is saying that one should not help, that one will not help. It will not help one to go to the ultimate goal of life. This will give you some kind of siddhi, but this is basically just a distraction. So here there are some diagnostics which we can identify ourselves, which tells us that how the pranavayu, when it gets disturbed, like when the pranavaya is blocked or disturbed, there can be chest infection or emotional instability. Similarly, the samanavaya is disturbed. So I just kept for reference purpose. You can read it yourself. And then what is the thing, corrective action can be done to overcome that. So next topic is this antahkaran. Right? So the antahkaran, as we discussed earlier, has 4 parts. Right? One part is manas, the mind, other is buddhi, third is chitta, and the fourth is ahankar. These are the 4 aspects of the Antakaran. So chitta being the storehouse. How chitta is the storehouse? We saw earlier here that when we get any kind of perception from outside world, the prana carries that into our internal body and it produces a facsimile that is called as pratyaya, image. Whatever image we are seeing, that is captured by the chitta, and chitta stores that along with the other experiences. It is happening simultaneously. Like for example, I'm saying somebody is cooking samosa. So when you're cooking samosa, it gives a certain kind of fragrance. So along with that samosa, the picture of the samosa, the fragrance, the scenario in which it was cooked, everything is stored in the chitta. So as a model, it is stored in the chitta. So chitta is the storehouse. And over unlimited lifetimes, all these impressions that are stored in the chitta, the hard drive, the collection of that is the representation of the person. Means I identify myself with those things which are stored there in my hard drive. Because these are my experiences, right? So I am this person. I am angry person. I am a happy person. Like we identify ourselves. Like I am. मैं तो ऐसा ही हूँ. Like lot of time we say, right? मैं तो ऐसे. I don't want to change. However, the soul is different from that personality thing which we are identifying with. I am not that actually. These are just my past experiences from my previous life or this life. I am not really that. I am soul, part and parcel of Krishna. But generally in our day to day, all of us experience that we identify with that. Each and every one of us. So that is ahankar. Ahankar is nothing but the identification of all those stored chitta. When person identifies with all those stored chitta, that I am this, I am a human being, I am a male, I am Indian, I am Microsoft employee, I am this employee or that employee or whatever. This makes sense.
I think this diagram is, I think it's taking to the next level. As you said, chitta is a storehouse, right? Like, uh, what I can say is that, right, like, the example that you use, right? Let's say that we eat an ice cream, right, and you have a sensitive teeth, actually, right? So because it is stored within your chitta, and as soon as the buddhi process and say that let me not eat the ice cream.
Correct.
But also now kind of next door connection is that like ahankar, ego, that also shares that like that identifies you actually, right? Like you have a sensitive teeth and so this diagram, the point I'm trying to make here is that, right, like usually we say mind is also the storehouse, right? Usually we say that mind is the storehouse.
Because at that time manas is identified, which I said, right? It's interchangeably used. At that time,
it is used as chitta, but they call it as mind actually.
They call it as
But mind is more sensual. I mean, it's a sensory kind of a thing actually.
Mind is sensory, external sensory. Yeah.
Because Manashashtrani
Indian,
because all the five senses are connected to centrally connected to the mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, this is really a nice explanation.
Right? Okay.
This is carried, like both chitta and ahankar is carried from lifetime to lifetime. Right?
Yeah, everything.
That's why we
all
have
this,
all of
them are carried.
That's why we have that sobhav, or based on those impressions we carry forward.
Okay. Now we did this, but now last time when we did it, it was first time. This is like very complicated topic. But once when we will go to the bhakti level, right? How it is applicable in the viewpoint will totally change. Like, understanding soul changes the whole viewpoint. Then understanding this will change the whole viewpoint of bhakti. So far, good.
प्रभु कुछ आपके रेफरेंसेस थर्ड कैंटो से हैं, कुछ कहीं से हैं, तो मतलब आपने ये सारे कैंटो पढ़ लिए?
नहीं, मैंने क्लास सुन के ये तैयार किया है।
कौन सी क्लास सुनी?
हाँ, तो मैं दूंगा वादे एट द एंड। Yeah, there is nothing which
कौन सी क्लास है?
नहीं है, बाद में बताएंगे.
Secret है.
Secret. It is there actually. It's there. It's nothing like nothing. I don't hide anything. Where all the material I give. Right? Yeah.
These are the renderings you have done, Prabhu?
No, I've used AI to do it.
I know, I get it, but
Yeah.
you have prompted it, right, to do all these things?
No, from the notes.
Oh,
From the notes, you prompt it and then it did.
I get it, but आपने generate किया using AI, right?
Using AI,
वही-
yes,
वही-
yeah. Notebook LM.
तो AI में आपने अपना अकाउंट बनाया हुआ है, क्योंकि अदरवाइज तो इट टेक्स
हाँ, मेरा
टाइम, राइट?
Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, this is like impossible to do all this.
तो आपने बस उनको प्रॉम्प्ट दिया एंड देन शी मेड द
No, the whole notes.
all his notes
Notes.
were the prompt.
I mean, he has
Give a
specified, he has
prompt.
specified the prompts also, but
The
yeah,
reference is
notes is
notes.
the source for
No, no, you don't have to specify point. No.
इतना सारा डिटेल में बताना देता है.
No,
The notes are
yeah,
detailed, I think.
notes are detailed.
That's why.
Yeah.
It's referencing Prabhu's notes to produce this.
Produce it, but you can give multiple in Notebook LM. You can give multiple sources,
Yeah,
not like one
that's
source.
the best one.
Yeah,
I love it.
so that it generates from there.
Which one you use, Prabhu?
Notebook LM.
Google
Notebook.
बहुत अच्छे हैं.
Yeah,
Best
it's
one.
गूगल तो AI कंपेनियन है ना, ये नोटबुक क्या है प्रभु?
अब उसके बाद में आएगा,
बाद में, yeah,
अलग
right now let's complete the class and then I'll show all the tools so you can use it for your preaching. Yes. So this we saw, I mean, already discussed this, that there's a transition that happens. I'm not going to this. Also, this was discussed. This was also discussed. So the hard disk of the so basically our chitta has conscious as well as unconscious sections of it, right? Now, going back to this diagram is very important, where it tells you, it combines all the things which we have studied earlier, and it tells you in one picture that there is a moon and it is shining over a lake. When the moon, the reflection of the moon is in one particular space, so that is activated. Rest is all there, right? It's not that it's not there, but they are in a inactive state. It is not activated at that point of time.
Not illuminated.
Not illuminated
Because
at
the
that.
focus,
Yes.
the moonbeam is just on one spot.
Yeah. So this is our current personality, right? And this is the dust or the samskaras. However, I identify myself with that personality, right? I am this male, I am this. If it is a female, it's I am this female, I am mother of this, I am working here, right? But however, we are not that, right? We are not that personality. We are conscious soul, part and parcel of Krishna, right? So, but this is such a strong identification, and this is what actually is keeping up in the cycle of birth and death. Right? So this illusion of I in the moon on the lake, right? So now, with this illusion, what we do these three things. Right? These are the three knots. One is called as kartitva, means I am the doer, right? Karyatva, this is the result is coming because of me, my efforts. I'm identifying with the result, like Krishna is saying 2.47, right?
Ahankar, no.
No, it is. Oh, let's hold. First word, it has to come. A lot of time we know the verse number, but yeah, karmani adhikaraste mahaphaleshu. This is the solution Krishna is giving. Ma karma phal heturbu mate sangosti akarmani. Krishna is saying that don't think that you are the doer. Right? Don't identify yourself as that. Oh, this result is coming because of me. And if I am not the doer, if the result is not produced because of me, I am not the enjoyer, then why should I even do the work? So Krishna adds the last line, right? Mate sangosto karmani. So Krishna says that that you must still work. You should never be attached, not doing your duty. You must still work. So this is the karyatva mentality, where we think that the results are happening because of me and I am the instrument because I'm using my body to do the things, right? So I am the karanatva. So um, with this identification of this dust particles, this is our current personality, we start thinking in these terms. Right? And this is the layer, right? Which is there. It's a very strong effect on our chitta because that's our identification. That doesn't allow the chitta to reflect the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? Because earlier we saw if the chitta is clean, right, the chitta has a potency to reflect the Supreme Personality Godhead on our chitta. Right? So if it is pure, but if it is having this kind of false identity, it will never allow that reflection to happen.
This false identity is because of Ankara.
Ahankar is what? Ahankar is nothing but the collection of all the 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 impressions on the chitta. Right? And I'm identifying myself with that hard drive. So think in terms of hard drive. A person who is a computer operator who is sitting there, but instead of thinking that as a hard drive in the machine, he's thinking that I am that hard drive. I'm not the person. I'm that particular hard drive.
ये क्या है प्रभु, ये कारणात्वा, कर्यात्वा, कर्तृत्वा?
These are the Sanskrit terms which indicates that I am the doer. See, Karana is cause. Right? Karana Dakshaya Vishnu. He causes the things. So I am the Karana. I am the doer. Therefore, the term Kartitva means I am the doer.
इधर जैसे प्रभु लिखा है this tongue, these ears are me, तो मतलब it's the same as mind.
Yes, yeah.
Even to consider
No, we
that-
actually, I think it's me. When we go in front of the mirror, what do we think? Right? We identify with our body actually. Even after coming to Krishna consciousness, if we see our behavior in general, right, that's we identify directly with our body and the feelings and everything which we have. If some devotee insults us, it really hurts the heart. Isn't it? Why? Because of the identification. Identification at the body level, identification at the mind level, identification at the, like our child, right? We have so much attachment to the child. So that is because of that actually. So is it clear so far? I am the doer, I am the instrument, and I am the result, whatever is coming out because of me. But the observer is not the machine actually. The body and the observer, which is the soul, this is not the machine. That's basically the disconnect. And that is because of the avidya. We saw this last time. This is because of the avidya. So avidya disconnects the soul from, so this is the soul which is pure, and the consciousness which is coming out of this soul is pure. So this is the term which is used for the consciousness. It's called as jnana vritti. So this jnana vritti is the knowledge potency of the soul. Now this jnana vritti, currently that jnana is passing through these layers, which is this layer of samskara. And it is also accessing the hard drive, which is the chitta. Right? Hard drive. Think in terms of, because we all are software people, so think in terms of that. So the knowledge potency, the knowledge of the soul, which is covered, why the covering is there? Because of avidya, ignorance. Who gives us the covering? Lord Brahma actually gives the covering. But on the instructions of Krishna, we want the covering. So therefore, that covering is given to us. And what are the two kinds of covering? Prakshepatmika Shakti and Avarnatmika Shakti. That's how it is covered. So the soul which has pure consciousness, currently its knowledge is based on this data. But this can be replaced with the data of scriptures. Because it doesn't have, initially it doesn't have the knowledge of scripture, so there is a direct identification. Now, as a devotee, practicing devotee, we have some theoretical knowledge. And as we are practicing, this is getting dissolved. So this jnana vritti, which is focusing here, now this same jnana vritti can be focused on this based on the basis of scriptures.
Sorry, Guru, with the scriptures, only the samskaras are dissolved or the chitta also?
Everything can dissolve with scriptures and with bhakti, the process of bhakti. All this can be dissolved.
But how can mind and consciousness dissolve? Consciousness.
No, the dirt in the mind and
Oh. So that's why the samskaras are
samskaras, yeah. So this is dissolved, and this is mind's dirt, which is the samskara. This is dissolved, and chit. So there are two parts, right? This is active part. This can be dissolved, and also the other thing can be dissolved. Because it's not just the active thing, right? We need to dissolve everything. Because when we go to the next life, this part will become active. So bhakti dissolves everything. So far, good. Nahi? Confusing?
Just to clarify, bro, can you go back to the other diagram? So the mind dirt, the samskaras, according to that analogy of the moonbeam falling on the lake and highlighting the portion, is what we currently see, the dust. Is that the mind dirt right now? Is it what is exposed?
Yes.
And whatever is
It says
the unexposed is what the black portion is?
The chitta.
Chitta. Okay.
So that's the
So
highlighted and the dormant, I guess.
yeah, highlighted and the dormant one actually.
Yeah, in that diagram, yeah.
Yeah, to compare to that analogy.
Yeah.
So, bro, you remember like when you explained the concept of Shushupti and what is that?
Jagrata.
Swapna. Swapna and Jagrati,
Mhm.
where you put soul in the center and soul is pervading its consciousness. It is going through the like the subtle and the gross body and the consciousness, how much it pervades, like if it pervades to the extreme level, you are in a Jagriti. If it is retracts further into the subtle level, you are in a Swapna. If it further retracts at the soul level, is basically is the Sushupti part of it, right?
Correct.
Um,
How is it connected with
because that I'm just trying to connect like how the consciousness pervades through that, right? Like I know that internally you're trying to purify your subtle and your gross things actually, right? Because it is pervading through that layer of your body. That's why I could understand the concept, but still not fully I'm not able to hardware in my thought how this will be.
How it will work with in relation to that, right?
Yeah.
So actually that's where Paramatma comes into picture. Because when we sleep, nobody of us knows that I am awake and I'm going to sleep.
Yes.
Right?
If you know that, you'll never
forget. You'll never forget. How that transition happens? Right? So Paramatma is doing that transition. So from Jagrata to Swapna and from Swapna to Sushupti. That is all done by Paramatma. And similarly, Paramatma wakes us up. He will wake us up and he will remind us that, oh, you are this person. ये बहुत fast होता है. He'll remind, okay, you are this person, you are here, you work here, these are everything he reminds us. And he doesn't only remind us, he also reminds Brahmaji when he wakes up. Brahmaji has to be given the knowledge. Every time Brahmaji goes to sleep and wakes up, he has to be given the entire knowledge. So the same thing is applicable to us. So that's where Paramatma, this is a short description. Does it make sense? Yeah. Paramatma does that part. How he does, I don't know. That detail I have not come across. But he is engaged, he does that.
तो जो ब्रजरमण प्रभु ने कहा वो मुझे अच्छे से समझ में आ गई बात, बट अब ये सोल लाइट ज्ञान वृत्ति क्या है इस स्लाइड में?
See, Krishna is Sachidananda. Right? We are also Sachidananda.
Little bit in a minute amount.
Minute way.
Yeah,
What is Sat?
I'll tell you.
Eternity.
Hmm.
What is Chit?
Consciousness of knowledge.
Knowledge or consciousness potency. Right?
इसके 3 वर्ड
हाँ. Samvit, Sandhini and Raj.
संवित संधिनी
Yeah.
हलादिनी. Yes, that's
So
what I was
Samvit potency is
remembering.
the knowledge potency.
Hmm.
So soul has a capacity to acquire knowledge
Hmm.
because it is Sachidananda, which is the knowledge is coming through the Samvit potency. Now these are all actually part of Krishna's Swarup Shakti.
Hmm.
So far clear? So that is this Jnana Vritti. Samvit potency.
ये यहाँ पे क्यों लिखा हुआ है इसमें?
Because unless the knowledge,
Connection नहीं समझ
huh?
में आ रहा. Connection नहीं
Unless,
समझ
okay,
में आ
so anything we acquire knowledge, we need knowledge for every small things. But when we are acquiring that knowledge, we are going through this filter, this layer of this and whatever. We are going, our knowledge is coming through the, this light, if it is covered with some film, the light is conscious, but it is reflecting through that red thing or whatever film. Then if the room will become red. So that filter is basically this. Assume that this filter is this. So the original knowledge, which is pure, is now reflecting through this. And because it's reflecting through these layers, it is identifying itself with that layer. And I'm saying that, okay, this is me. But when this jnana is replaced with other jnana, spiritual jnana, right now this is material jnana, then soul will have pure knowledge.
I thought it is see, soul will always be pure, right? And then
Soul is pure.
the chitta that comes out of the soul or the knowledge
Consciousness.
should be also pure. But since we have our samskaras, which is dirt or whatever you call it, or the other thing that is stored in our unconscious chitta part of it, that is tampering it, right? It is like, this is a white light. You put a red film,
Yeah.
everything becomes red.
Yeah.
But the original radiation is
Yeah,
white.
yes, originally it is white, yeah.
What this process that avidya is that removing that red film or making it a transparent?
No, Vidya is covering.
I know the red is film is the avidya.
Vidya is really.
Yeah, right. So you either make it as a transparent or you remove the film.
Okay.
It's something like they remove all your samskaras from
Yes,
your.
yes.
Then you say, I am not this body. How you will get to know? You are still in a bodily concept because you have that samskara
Yes,
stored in you. Because in your past life you had that impression of
Yeah.
I am a lion, I am a what,
Yeah.
that kind of a thing, right?
So the point is now we are coming to the real point that artificially it cannot be removed. Artificially you cannot think that I am purified. This is the point we are coming to. I cannot say I am pure soul, right? I cannot claim myself to be a pure devotee. I have to go through the exercise of purifying myself with the process of bhakti, and then Krishna will remove these things.
We're only discussing the problem statement. How to remove is what you're.
आ रहा है. So we are still discussing and understanding.
आपके लिए solution है आपके.
आप आगे जा रहे हैं.
माता जी आगे की सोच रही मैं.
बहुत कोशिश कर रही हूँ बट बहुत ज्यादा भी नहीं कर रही हूँ, मतलब
नहीं वो आप
अभी समझ आ जाता है. The moment I step out and by the time I come back to the next class, it's completely wiped out.
No, but that's why I said in the earlier notes that you have to review, otherwise you will not remember anything. And it's not like this is so important that you have to review again and again.
हम बोले संदीप लोगों को नोट बनाया पर बार याद दिलाया.
Yeah. So I'll just skip this part because this we already covered earlier. We are still reviewing the last time. Okay.
आपका तो रिव्यू ही नहीं खत्म होने
ये
देंगे।
खत्म नहीं हो रहा है।
आपको स्टूडेंट्स ऐसे मिले
जड़ स्टूडेंट्स मिल रहे हैं।
जड़ों में
जड़ बुद्धि
Okay, so bondage versus liberation, we saw that if more and more material impressions are created, then that leads to material emotions and we are bound. However, when you put more spiritual impressions, then it will create more spiritual emotions and then we move towards the path of liberation.
In that, I'm just saying, we know that like bhakti is all about emotions and
Yes.
spiritual emotions, right? And when you have that emotions, you are at the Raganuga, right? Where you hear the name of Krishna, the tears will flow, or you remember about it. The spiritual impression, how, like, what is that actually? When you read a scripture, is that a spiritual impression? When you associate with the devotee,
Yes.
how is that? No one has to tell how we get a material impression, because we know sense gratification and all those things past that is already enrooted in it.
So
How really?
So please put it as a park question.
Okay.
In portions of this will be discussed, but we will go into details also.
Yeah.
Where how when you unite in a person like this, there is exchange of pranas actually happening. It doesn't happen over the internet.
Even Amrita
It doesn't happen over the internet. So here that is one way of exchange. Reading book is another way of exchange. I mean, another way of getting the spiritual impressions. The third thing is chanting together, eating prasadam together, having cordial relationship with together. So therefore, it is Srila Rupa Goswami says swajatiya, right? Then there is a word snigdha is using, affectionate relationship. Affection is such a big key. Our relation is not among the devotees. It will not happen with everybody, but among core group of devotees, you have to figure out. Okay, you have to have affectionate relationship with certain devotees who are like-minded, and so later I'm just revealing right now, but their emotions will actually flow into you. And just
I'll hold on.
But remember to ask this question because very important question.
Yes.
It's a very important.
Because that is the key actually. Right?
Yes.
Once you have spiritual impressions,
yes,
then you are heading on the right path.
That's the right path. In short, those who have spiritual impressions, with them you associate, you will get it, knowingly or unknowingly, because they carry Krishna and then they have ability to give Krishna to you. So the first hurdle which is there from bondage to liberation is our state of mind. Right? So there are 5 state of mind actually. See, Patanjali, Srila Rupa Goswami has used many things from Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Many things, including the nectar of instruction verses from other literature he has taken. He has not written those himself. The very first and second verses.
Rupa Goswami.
So, and because
प्रभु उन्होंने थोड़ा सा चेंज
थोड़ा सा change
इसको इधर
but like 90% he kept same.
he kept the same, but थोड़ा सा उन्होंने
उसको भक्ति में डाल दिया.
What? He took the Patanjali yoga system and converted.
No, Patanjali yoga system, I don't know from where he took the first verse. I mean, I heard it, but I don't remember exactly right now.
Yes.
Either right now. But he has not written those things.
But 1 or 2 प्रभु, मतलब एक आध वर्ड्स का सिमिलैरिटी में तो भरत मुनि था या कौन थे, I don't
but
know.
Yeah, correct, yeah. But anything related, the whole entire southern section of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is based on Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra. Here, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in many sections where the mind, wherever particularly the mind comes, he has not invested time in that. Because it's already explained very nicely by Patanjali in his Yoga Sutras. So Patanjali says that there are like 5 state of mind, right? Now we understand the difference between mind and chitta.
Yeah.
Chitta is the
Storage.
storage, hard drive. Mind is where,
Sensory.
is a sensory thing. It receives information. All the emotions are processed in the mind, right? All the emotions, but it is taken from the chitta. It is taken from the chitta and brought to the mind, and where we experience the things in your mind. Now the mind can have 5 different states. The first state is called as shipta, which is the monkey mind. This is it is restless. Most of, at least I am there in this particular state, is restless, scattered state where focus is impossible due to constant impulses. Right? So most of, because we are like looking at the the gadgets all the time, that disturbs our mind. Its impulses are coming constantly, right? So that is called as a shipta mind. Then the next one is a donkey mind, which is characterized by dullness, mental fatigue, laziness, lack of clarity. Third state of mind he is saying is vikshipta, which is butterfly mind. Partially focused states where the moments are there's a it is frequently lost. So there is some kind of clarity, but as the butterfly keeps moving, similarly the mind keeps moving. However, we need to move to this state, ekagra. This is a crane mind. So again, from shipta to muda, from muda to vikshipta, from vikshipta to, we have to come to this state, the crane mind, ekagra, ekagrata. One pointed state of heightened concentration and deep absorption in the present. Right? So when we chant, it has to be ekagra. Mind has to be ekagra. And then the next state is niruddha, which is the highest state. It is pure state of pure stillness, free from all attachment and internal agitation. Here still the attachment is there, but here all kind of detachment from the worldly connections, and mind is completely pure.
Even Ravana and Hiranyakashipu also achieved that state. Niruddha state.
Niruddha state, yes. So Krishna is explaining this in Bhagavad Gita. He is asking Arjuna that I have explained you in the entire Bhagavad Gita. Have you heard with ekagrata chitta? Now when you read Bhagavad Gita, you will come across this word. Now what is ekagra?
Concentrated, ekagra.
Ha. This is the state. So Krishna is asking Arjuna, I have explained the Bhagavad Gita entirely. Have you heard with ekagrata chitta? The word is Tvai ekagrena chetasa. Chetasa means chitta. So have you heard with ekagrata chitta? When we read Sanskrit, it makes a complete different understanding, right? Means it has complete focused mind. Have you heard with that? Right? So then, O son of Preta, O conqueror of hell, have you heard this with attentive mind? In English, there is only, you can just say about that. Whereas it is with deep concentration, free of all kind of illusions. We have to hear that. Then, are your illusions or ignorance dispelled? So this is asked by Krishna. So how do we achieve this ekagrata chitta? Right? So there are different yoga processes. However, our process is what we follow is the process of bhakti. In bhakti, we go through various stages. These are the 14 different stages explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti. We have discussed this earlier, starting with Satam Kripa. By the mercy of devotee, we come into Krishna consciousness. And when we serve them, then we get something called as faith. And then gradually take shelter of Guru. And in the association of Guru and association of devotees, we have desire to actually engage in bhakti. So that is called as bhajaneshu spriha. Spriha means desire to perform bhakti. You're not still not doing it. So that is a desire has to come. Once the desire comes, then we engage in bhakti, which is called as bhajana kriya. And when we engage in bhakti, then the first thing that happens is the clearance of anartha, which is anartha nivritti stage, right? And then nishtha, then ruchi, ashakti, rati. Rati, our acharyas call it as rati, but rati is same as bhava. Bhava, and then prema, and then actually you see the Lord, darshan of the Lord in person. Right? So this is the stage which is explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. However, the
What's the difference between yellow and green highlight?
I had something in mind.
क्या कह रहे हो येलो और ग्रीन
Oh, Prabhu, that is our regular 9 stages of bhakti, right?
Oh, I think
And
no, these are extra.
yeah, the green ones are
The
extra.
green ones are
Kadamli
extra.
puts as an extra thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I was just counting actually. We
आदव श्रद्धा तथा साधु संग तथा भजन क्रिया
उसको थोड़ा साधु संग का थोड़ा ये
हाँ।
सीक्वेंस थोड़ा पहले आ गया, साधु संग का सीक्वेंस पहले आ गया.
Yeah. So this is surrender to a guru, and then bhajaneshu spriha, like that. So Rupa Goswami gives 9 stages. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur expands into 14 different stages.
तो येलो वाले 9 रूपा गोस्वामी के दिए हुए हैं और जो ग्रीन वाले हैं वो एक्स्ट्रा स्टेजेस हैं जो विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर ने दी.
ठीक है.
अभी उसमें आपको 8 ही मिलेगा, 9वां जो है वो सताम कृपा और महत सेवा, वो साधु संग में.
Sadhu
साधु
Sangha.
संग.
Yes. So now we are going into the transitioning from prana and chitta to bhakti, how this is applicable in the process of bhakti. So first is we begin our practices with the sadhana bhakti. Like,
सॉरी, इनफैक्ट श्रद्धा पहले आएगा ना, श्रद्धा भी 3rd पे दिया हुआ है.
Adau Shraddha.
साधु संग, अदाउ श्रद्धा, साधु
वही मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना, तो श्रद्धा अपना रूपा गोस्वामी का पहले श्रद्धा आता है, यहाँ पर साधु संग. मैंने बोला वही एंड ये जो बॉक्स है
ये दिस इज साधु संगा, ये भजन क्रिया, राइट?
या
भजन क्रिया यहाँ पे है.
या
आदो श्रद्धा तथा साधु संग. सो दिस इज साधु संग.
फिर सताम कृपा और फिर महत सेवा क्या होगा?
ये दिस इज नॉट गिवन बाय रूपा गोस्वामी.
साधु संग,
सो ओके.
या वो एक्स्ट्रा है, मतलब आप उसको कैटेगरी में डाल रहे हो साधु संगा में, ब्रॉड कैटेगरी में, but
So quickly I will explain because you asked this question. What is Satam Kripa? So this is given in Madhurya Kadambini. That bhakti is actually created by devotees in somebody's life. We don't have any qualification. It is created by a devotee. Let's say person might have bhakti in the prior life. So that is a different case. But say it's a fresh starter who has never encountered bhakti. So a devotee creates a seed of bhakti in that person's heart. How? By either giving prasadam or behaving nicely. So what happens is when you behave nicely with a third person, that third person thinks, oh, this person is such a nice, मुझे तो कोई good morning बोलता नहीं है, इसने पहली बार good morning बोला, hello hi किया है, आपने हंसे smile किया है. So that person feels good about you. Let's say you go for a walk and you smile, you say hi, and that person internally feels, oh, this person is nice. He feels good about you because of your behavior. Now, because you are a devotee, Krishna gives credit to that person. So this is called as Agyata Sukriti. That is called as Agyata Sukriti. Now,
I think in Chaitanya Charitamrita I was just trying to find this because this was quoted by His Holiness Kadamba Kana Maharaj in one of his famous kirtan in Mayapur. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 22, verse 107. I think you know this verse very well actually. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, 22.107.
yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is that like bhakti is dormant in our heart. That Satam Kripa is basically like putting water in your dormant seed of the bhakti so that it starts sprouting. Right?
Yes.
So bhakti is all of us, not only here as a practicing devotee, but everybody in this has a dormant.
Government said.
That's
yes.
what this verse says actually. So
Yes. So how do I say that?
oh, यहाँ पे चित्त है.
हाँ. समाधि शुद्ध चित्ते करे.
हाँ.
तो शुद्ध चित्त में भक्ति अवेकन होगा. But the beginning has to, वो जो dormant seed को,
That is done by the devotee.
they have to be done by the devotee.
That is Satam.
That is
Satam.
Satam.
So he deposit, that is called as Agyata Sukriti. Now this Agyata Sukriti collects over many lifetimes, and then that Agyata Sukriti, when it is collected, it is जैसा वो गुल्लक बोलते हैं ना, पूरा भर गया.
Inflection point.
So then there is a point where somebody comes, let's say I come and say, okay, I made somebody chanting 16 rounds. So then I claim that, this person became devotee because of ये प्रभु तो मेरे कारण devotee बने. But the reality is that so many devotees have actually contributed to come to that point, and then I have put a cherry on the top. And then उसको अच्छा decorate कर दिया, right? But there are so many devotees who have contributed to that person's life. But if we don't have that understanding how really that person ने 16 round शुरू किया, that is because so many devotees have worked toward that. And then when this person feels, a lot of time, they happen like people, I mean, I go to this bhakti studio, right? So people come there, and I have experience in the past also. The people come there and get some gift, कुछ लेके आता है, right? Like Prabhupada के time वो एक toilet paper लेके आया था, and Prabhupada says his bhakti has begun, right? Right? Because he's serving. Even if it is a toilet paper, doesn't matter. He has the intention of serving Srila Prabhupada. So that is Mahatsav. So then that converts into something called a Shraddha. This Agyata Sukriti converts into Shraddha. Shraddha on what? Shraddha on the scriptures, Shraddha on devotees, Shraddha in the process, Shraddha on Krishna. That doesn't come automatic.
The process.
It's a process. And it
तो एक पूरा डिबेट है इस पे. भक्ति इज इनहेरेंट एंड भक्ति इज वन मोर वर्ड आई एम फॉरगेटिंग. तो आज कहते हैं इट्स बोथ. उसमें पूरे में यही डिवोट है कि डू यू हैव इनहेरेंटली और इट इज गिवन बाय समवन एल्स. सो वी हैव इट and then it is also given
like
by
Prabhu
the
showed the
devotee.
verse, right?
Yeah.
So that seed form, it is there, but somebody has to start. And Prabhupada also in the Mother Economic class I have given, I think Jai Pataka Maharaj asked this question to Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada, that we were all like hippies, and then how did we take this process? So Prabhupada says, I created your Sukriti. I created your good fortune. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. So that is true actually, because this is based on the Shastra, because the same thing is explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Madhurya Kadambini. Srila Rupa Goswami also explains the same thing. So that's how the process works. Okay, so when we are practicing bhakti, then there are mainly 3 stages. One is sadhana bhakti, means bhakti in the stage. That's the first, right? Vaidhi sadhana and raganuga sadhana. So that becomes the cause, and it must mature into bhava bhakti. Right? So if we see the definition of sadhana bhakti also, this is the stage 1. Sadhana bhakti is bhakti in practice. Means you use your senses. Using the senses, the bhakti needs to be executed, and the goal is, the activity alone is not the goal. It is the means of chanting, and the goal is the sadhana it transforms our consciousness from the stage of, the lower stage to the stage of bhava. So when we chant, so this is kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya. This is the definition of sadhana bhakti. What is, when we say I am practicing sadhana bhakti, what is this? So sadhana bhakti means kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhava sa sadhana abhida nitya siddhyasya bhavasya prakrityam vidhi sadhyata. So the translation goes as, now sadhana bhakti will be defined. Actions of the senses which produces the stage of bhava. This is called as sadhana. So when we chant, our goal of chanting is, I want to reach the stage of bhava. If I have not reached the stage of bhava, means I am still practicing sadhana with that goal that one day I will reach bhava. Otherwise, that if I am not practicing with that in mind, then that is not called as sadhana bhakti. If I am just chanting, do you get the difference? If I am just chanting and not thinking that I have to reach this stage of bhava, means this is not sadhana bhakti.
Mechanical chanting.
That is mechanical chanting. So the goal must be clear.
अभी जो लास्ट क्लास दी है हरि पार्षद प्रभु ने कि डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ भाव भक्ति, ऐसे ही कुछ नाम है उस क्लास का, वो घर में दिए उन्होंने बॉम्बे में। जितना मुझे समझ में आया, एंड आई डू हैव अ क्वेश्चन ऑन दिस टू, बट कि जो आप अपने सेंसेस से कर रहे हो, मतलब आई एम जस्ट सेइंग इट इन अ डिफरेंट वर्ड्स, कि उसका गोल अल्टीमेट यही है कि वो भाव भक्ति तक ले जाए।
Yes.
अगर वो भाव भक्ति तक नहीं ले जा रहा है तो कहीं ना कहीं कुछ गड़बड़ है आपकी साधना भक्ति में।
Yes. So आपने अगर ऐसा सोचा भी नहीं है, like the next slide tells you.
ये नहीं कहा कि सोचना है, ऐसा उन्होंने, मैंने नहीं समझा ऐसा।
Because the goal is, if the goal is not set, then
हाँ, then why
it's mechanical.
it's mechanical, right? मैं कार लेके निकल गया, मुझे पता ही नहीं है कहाँ जाना है।
घूम रहा हूँ।
घूम रहा है यहाँ से वहाँ।
चला तो रहा हूँ कार।
चला तो रहा हूँ। So this practice must yield the result of bhava. So sadhana with the goal of attaining bhava, then that is called as sadhana bhakti. Otherwise, it's not sadhana bhakti. It's just like driving the car without knowing where I am going.
मैं एक चीज पूछूं, इसी के ऊपर ही है ये क्वेश्चन, ये मुझे बहुत परेशान करता है क्योंकि हरि पार्षद प्रभु के जो अभी आजकल के जो लेक्चर्स हैं कुछ टाइम से, it's all on bhava bhakti. He is very much kind of emphasizing that, you know. तो मुझे कंफ्यूजन है, तो वो क्या कह रहे हैं, आई एम जस्ट लूजिंग माय वर्ड्स। यस, कि जो चैतन्य चरित्रामृत में जो एक वर्स है मध्य लीला में, कि जब तक आप रागात्मिका भक्तों के साथ आप एसोसिएट नहीं करते और उनसे वो भाव नहीं मिलता, तब तक आप को भावा भक्ति नहीं मिलेगी।
Yes.
है ना?
Correct.
और उस इतना पूरा लेक्चर देने के बाद अल्टीमेटली फिर वो ये कहते हैं कि भक्ति, प्रेमा भक्ति तक आप तभी पहुंचोगे जब कृष्णा की मर्सी होगी। कृष्णा ही मर्सी देंगे तभी आप पहुंचोगे।
Or devotee of Krishna who is carrying bhava in the heart, because see that lobha is only given by the person who has lobha.
तो मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है, और वो कई बार यही कहते हैं 16+4, डोंट रिलाई ऑन दिस, कि तुमने 16+4 कर लिया मींस तुम्हारी लाइफ सेट है। मुझे सबसे बड़ा कंफ्यूजन और क्वेश्चन उनकी क्लास में यही होता है कि प्रभुपाद गेव दैट प्रोसेस एंड अल्टीमेटली जो हमें भाव तक आना है दैट इज 16+4
with the goal of attaining bhava.
क्या? और मैं अगर किसी रागात्मिका भक्ता के साथ एसोसिएट नहीं कर पाती, लेट्स से, तो और मिलेगी तो कृष्णा की मर्सी से ही मिलेगी ना भक्ति। then what is the purpose of hammering it so much and saying 16+4 will not help you, only जब आपका एसोसिएशन होगा तभी आपको मिलेगी। तो मेरे को ये चीज समझ नहीं आती।
Because 16+4 is Vaidhi sadhana bhakti.
ठीक है, that's fine.
Yes. So then if we are satisfied with the Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, because it is a different path altogether. It is following the scriptures and rules and regulations. So 16 plus 4 is Vaidhi sadhana, which is in general.
Yeah.
But Raganuga sadhana के लिए आपको फिर then you have to associate with the Raga Bhakta who has Lobha in the heart.
चलो मैं एसोसिएट भी कर लूं, फिर अल्टीमेटली उनकी पंच लाइन यही होती है कि कृष्णा विल गिव यू.
Ultimately, it's Krishna's will, yes.
Right.
But that the devotee's will is also there, right? Who has raga, who has experience, and that's why we are going through this. I also park this question because some of the things will get clarified in this discussion, which is later discussion.
वो तो एक्चुअली बेसिक थिंग मेरे को तो बेसिक लगता है वो कि ये तो आपको करना ही करना है.
हाँ.
Whether you finally get it or not, that is Krishna's will.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
But ये करना ही पड़ेगा.
करना ही है. This is the process.
This is a process.
This is the process. So then why hammer 16 plus 4 को इतना ज्यादा hammer in the sense कि नहीं 16 plus 4 से कुछ नहीं होगा, 16 plus 4 से कुछ नहीं होगा.
Because when we are chanting 16 for 4, we start claiming that okay, I am a pure devotee. अरे हमारा हो गया.
एक तरीके से हो ही गया.
हाँ,
ultimately तो कृष्णा की मर्सी मिलेगी तो ही होगा.
बट आपको फिर
मेरा ये this is my experience that if you don't have that lolem for association, and if we start finding, yes, we are doing so with basic qualification to get into the school of devotion is 16 plus 4. वो करेंगे तभी स्कूल में एडमिशन मिलेगा. एडमिशन मिल गया. If you do not take the association of good students who are ragatmaka bhaktas, then Krishna, when sees that you don't have that lolem, that burning fire and desire to associate with them and learn from them, then he slowly withdraws that mercy of association. And when that mercy is, Prabhu, am I wrong here?
No, you're right. It's like you getting into IIT. तो आपने 16 for 4 is getting into IIT. But getting into IIT, now you have to get through those 4 years. And if you want to excel, which is Suddha Bhakti is like top, then you have to associate with those people who are students who are like toppers.
Right.
And then, be with them, stay in their association, because IIT में घुसने के बाद बहुत लोग ऐसा हाथ ऊंचा भी करते कि मेरा एडमिशन हो गया.
But
That's a very good analogy, actually. Very good analogy.
कि मेरा एडमिशन हो गया, अब मेरे तो नहीं,
अब बस
मेरे
हो
को तो
गया.
अभी कॉलेज
IIT में बैठे रहो आप 16 plus 4 के साथ, right? Move ahead.
या गौरंग प्रभु बोलते हैं ना कि अभी माय जॉब वाज टू एंटर, नाउ इट इज मैंने एंटर कर दिया.
I think this is true for anything.
Yeah, it's true for everything. Yeah, that's yeah. So so just because if somebody has like practiced for 40-50 years, we start thinking, that I have become a pure devotee, or all those kind of misconception can come in the mind. So they do not have this. The test is awakening. So when the bhava is awakening, we will know actually. Nobody has to tell us that bhava has awakened. Right? Nobody has to tell us. Like when we eat food, it will tell us, okay, मैंने खाया तो मेरा पेट भरी है. Nobody has to tell are you full or not. So similarly, when bhava is reached, nobody has to tell that. Otherwise, bhava is not reached. So like that. So bhava bhakti is compared to a ray of sun. And the full sun is prema bhakti. And the ray of sun, the first ray of sun, that is considered as bhava bhakti. And this is the definition. Suddha sattva visheshatma prema suryamsho samya bhak ruchi bis chitta marshanya. So here the word is there, chitta. Krid asau bhava uchyate. So this is a definition of bhava. That part of bhakti is called as bhava, whose essence is samvit and ladini shakti. So the essence of bhava bhakti is the samvit and ladini shakti of the Supreme Lord touches you. What it means, we'll go into details. And that touch which touches our heart, we can really experience. And there are internal symptoms and then there are external symptoms. Now, before bhava, we have nishtha, ruchi, asakti, right? even at that stage, you will start experiencing things. But that's a different level of experience. But in bhava, so in
You will start experiencing once you cross the anartha nivritti.
yeah, once you cross anartha nivritti, you are coming to the stage of namabhas, where in namabhas there are three things. One is nishtha, another is ruchi, another is asakti. In this stage is also, in the nishtha stage itself, you'll start seeing the form of the Lord in your heart. Not in your heart, in your chitta. And in the ruchi, you start seeing the gunas. So the stage in which we most probably are chanting is this stage. We got the Shraddha, Adav Shraddha. From some devotee, we get some kind of Shraddha. Right? And we all mostly are chanting with the offenses. We chant as well as we do offenses. What are the offenses? The 10 offenses. Namaprad. But if the offenses are avoided, then that is called as Chaya Namabhas, which is this. So in Chaya Namabhas, as we progress gradually, so within the Chaya Namabhas, these are the stages. Asakti, Nishtha, Ruchi and Asakti. These are the three stages. So right from the Nishtha stage, you start seeing Krishna in your heart, in your chitta. Meaning all the samskars are getting cleansed during the aparad stage itself. More cleansing happens in Nishtha. Even more cleansing happens in Ruchi. And Asakti. Usme और भी cleansing हो. So the cleansing process is throughout. Up to Prema there is cleansing. Prema में cleansing. अब Bhava में also there is some cleansing required. Right? So the deadliest aparad is Vaishnava aparad of all the aparads. Other aparads can be gone very easily, but the one which is very, very difficult to overcome is the Vaishnava aparad. That goes till almost till the Prema stage.
Oh, really?
Yes. Means Prema mein complete.
Huh?
Yes, Vishwanath Chakra Thakur explains. Prema mein it's completely gone, but in Bhava there is there, and the cleansing happens in Bhava also. The traces of that is still there.
Oh, Krishna.
So you start, of course, you get in the Shraddha stage, you get the Nama, and we are chanting right now. And then at the Nishtha stage, we start seeing the Rupa, the form of the Lord. Along with the form of the Lord, we start seeing qualities of the Lord in the stage of Ruchi. And in the stage of Asakti, we see Rupa, Guna, Leela, everything together. However, this is just reflection in water. Like water में कैसा reflection होता है? Yeah, suppose there is a glass mirror and you see through mirror somebody. You see through the mirror somebody, but you are seeing that person, right?
Or moon reflected on a water.
Or moon reflected on water. You are still seeing the moon, but it is not the real moon you are seeing. It is the reflection of the moon you are seeing on the water. So this happens in these stages. Whereas in the Suddhanam is this Bhava and Nam and Prema. These are the categories of Suddhanam. Here you will start seeing the Lord directly, no reflection.
In Chitta?
Yes, in your heart, or Chitta, or in your so your Chitta is now purified in the Bhava stage. The Chitta gets purified, and you will directly see the Lord in your Chitta or heart. Right? Now, how do you see? That part I have not covered. So, there are two terms. One is called as the Bhava, real Bhava. Other is a shadow, that is called Bhava Abhas. So, Bhava Abhas is a semblance. Like, a lot of times when we hear classes and when we hear some experience, we start crying. When we hear some kirtan, we start crying. Or we hear something, which is, of course, I'm talking about spiritual. You start crying. So this is semblance. This crying during a lecture but returning to the worldly attachment immediately after that. So this is this is a temporary reflection, it's not the substance. But in bhava, there is actually zero doubts. Like a person falling in love, you know, that if somebody falls in love, right? He falls in love and nobody has to tell that you have fallen in love. You experience yourself. Right? So that these emotions are constantly there in the heart.
So, bro, this part of it, I want to say, I mean, being in a grahastha life is kind of not an easy, I would say, after staying in the ashram, whatever, the last 24 years, whatever. Why was when you talk about all the devotees who are in the bhava and prema stage, like your Bharat Maharaj or all our six Goswamis, so they, I mean to say, they reached the stage, or somehow the social order, somehow they were on their own, right? Like I can think of an analogy, right? It's like you're on a boat, right? If you're alone, you can kind of control how much boat has to rattle. But even if you are with other members, even if you try to remain stable, others are rattling the boat, kind of a thing, right? So is this going to be an aspirational state for the grahasthas? Because it is always something which is I really very hard to find, actually.
Yeah. So the simple answer to this I would give is that you are progressing in gradually progressing in bhakti, and whatever state you have attained this lifetime, right? From that state you will begin in the next lifetime. So your next situation, because once you have taken shelter of a guru, all your karma is gone, unless we have created a lot of aparadha. Therefore, you have to be very careful not to create aparadha or create more baggage. But if the most of the thing, if we can take it out, it's not a one lifetime journey. So when you begin your next life, you are positioned in such a way, because Krishna is also helping you out. You are positioned in such a way, the situations of your life is in such a way that you begin your journey from that point and you progress further. Right? And then Srila Rupa Goswami explains the definition of prema, which we have not touched here. That when you are in the stage of prema, you have to be in the stage of bhava in your previous life. And matured your bhava
and progress
to the next stage. When you next life, you begin with bhava in a matured state, and then you will attain prema.
Many of no life to I am assuming a lifetime the stage cross. So, bro, question is that, like, when Prabhupada or others says bhakti, can in this lifetime you can go back. I want to say go back, mean सबको छोड़ो और जाओ वृंदावन, ऐसा उस टाइप का तभी
मैंने अभी recently
फॉलो करना है जो basically different ashrams है, मतलब after Krist or Vanaprastha and sannyas, that is also comes along with this, right? I mean, it's not
actually in Kali Yuga it is not advised to go for Vanaprastha or sannyas in general. Vanaprastha, yes, but not sannyas. Vanaprastha you can still practice after a year of 50.
From our Gaudiya standpoint, right, for preaching, the only thing that you can take sannyas, I think Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur is that
for the
preaching you have to take sannyas.
Yes. But at the same stage, you are also preaching, we are also preaching, right? So, but not at that, I mean, we are not traveler preacher, but at least at Vanaprastha stage, we can become a traveler preacher and help others.
So sannyasa is not recommended in Kali Yuga?
No. From preaching purpose, yes. From preaching perspective, yes. Not for following the ashram, like you have to go through.
मैंने अभी रिसेंटली सुना है, अभी इसी हफ्ते, आप जो कह रहे हैं ना, हमारे लिए चलो एप्लीकेबल होगा 1 लाइफ 2 लाइफ 3 लाइफ, हरी सॉरी जी के लिए बता रहे थे कि he was a sadhana bhakta. He was doing his sadhana, but he was very firm in his sadhana. He would not eat anything until he has done his go seva and recited 13 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam, तो उनके लिए यही बताया कि उनको भावा और प्रेमा
एक साथ मिल गया. So the Krishna can do that. So I was going to tell you
in the
that.
same lifetime.
हाँ.
हाँ, एक साथ मतलब he was doing his sadhana and Nasik में Krishna gave him a darshan and said, I'm very pleased with your sadhana. And then can you just come to me, but you do this, and then he
Krishna,
wrote 4,000 कितने verses लिखे हैं, 5,000.
He was just doing his cow seva and Krishna came and tapped him. That's it. Gave bhav. So that is called as kripa siddh. Of course, from sadhana to kripa.
But ultimately तो कृष्णा ने ही देना है ना प्रभु.
Right.
ये अभी
That
नहीं.
is ahayatuki. That is ahayatuki.
Ahayatuki.
Causeless.
मुझे तो यही अल्टीमेटली देना कृष्णा ने, ये चुप करके 60 प्लस स्कोर करो.
Yes.
मुझे तो यही लगता है.
At the same time,
चक्कर में तो मैं संन्यास लेना चाहता था. प्रभु ने आज वो भी शैटर कर दिया.
कभी नहीं बताया.
वो इंटरनली प्रिपेयर कर रहा था, हमको रोके ना
वो भी नहीं कर सकते यार.
प्रभु का डायरेक्टली थर्ड इनिशिएशन हो गया. फर्स्ट सेकंड थर्ड एक साथ.
तीसरा देंगे तो बाकी के 2 आ जाएंगे. So I think we'll stop. We have program at temple.
Yes.
So thank you so much. Online, any questions or any? तो कोई है ही नहीं ऐसे.
No, Prabhu, मैं हूँ. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Mataji is trying her best to skip everything and at the mercy of Krishna, I believe.
Yes, I think what you heard is true. We have to depend on his mercy. However, we have to do our part too. It's not that only depending on.
Yes.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you so much.
Very well.
श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. श्री रूप गोस्वामी की जय. श्री जीव गोस्वामी की जय. श्री विश्वनाथ चक्र ठाकुर की जय. जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.
जय.
प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि.
अमितानंद महाराज की जय तू.
सॉरी प्रभु, प्रभुपाद की जय, नॉट मी.
Thank you.
कुछ नहीं सुनने जैसा नहीं.
हरि बोल.
वो बोले ही सुनने भक्ति प्रचारक संदीप मुनि महाराज की.
गलती से बोल गया. चलो बंद किया गया.